All right, welcome back to Notify America. We have multiple pressing stories to get to, stories that you should know that are being suppressed or barely mentioned in mainstream media. Let's get started. The Israel-Hamas war, it rages on, fully and utterly supported by the United States, stamped and approved by our country's representatives. The vast majority of elected politicians support Israel, with only a small handful opposing their methods for eliminating Hamas. Well, on Friday, our great country, the US of A, stood alone in opposing a UN Security Council resolution that sought a humanitarian ceasefire. Despite, increasing civilian casualties in Gaza, the resolution was proposed by the United Arab Emirates. It received support from 13 member states, the only country opposing the measure, the United States. Look, U.S. officials have resisted endorsing a general ceasefire because they believe it would only strengthen Hamas's control in Gaza, which it would, let's not kid ourselves, but realize Hamas still has innocents held hostage. The last ceasefire facilitated the release of 110 Hamas hostages in exchange for 240 Palestinians held in Israeli jails. It's a terrible situation across the board, but if I was Israel, I'd do everything in my power to get our people back, right? Then, when the last hostage is safe, proceed to tear them down. Now, on a similar note, the U.S. Congress is currently in the process of trying to pass a funding bill. A massive funding bill that combines multiple line items, something that the new House Speaker promised he wouldn't do. If you remember, Mike Johnson, the new Republican Speaker of the House, had promised two things when he was running for his speakership. The first was to do away with omnibus packages where they combine all sorts of things together in a single bill. For example, combining infrastructure spending with Ukrainian military aid, something like that, in a single bill. Well, that's exactly what the president's new plan does. President Biden, he's asking for $111 billion. That includes military aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, forcing members to vote on a single bill. The Democrats are doing this purposely because they know that most Republicans won't vote against Israeli aid, even if they don't want Ukrainian aid. Now, in this $111 billion package, $61 billion of it's earmarked for Ukraine. That's $61 billion more of our tax dollars that they want to gift wrap and send over to Ukraine. And the new Speaker of the House isn't opposed to this. The only thing he's asking for in order to support the bill is additional money for the border, for border security, which we all know is a joke. It's used as cover, as a talking point he can use when speaking to the media. So any high hopes that you had for Mike Johnson are gone, folks. He folded like a cheap suit much faster than I expected, capitulating to the Democrats and to the president after only a month on the job. Now, there's still a sliver of hope that this doesn't happen. A small cohort of congressmen known as the House Freedom Caucus are holding out, and they claim that they'll do whatever they have to do to stop any further Ukraine military aid. This is a big deal. All right, we're around $34 trillion in debt, trillion with a T. We have over $1 trillion annual deficit, which means we're spending more than $1 trillion a year than we earn. If the U.S. government was a business, they'd go bankrupt, out of business. Not to mention, with higher interest rates, it now costs us over $1 trillion to service this debt. That means just the interest expense alone, not even the payments to repay the loan, just the interest alone crossed $1 trillion in October. Insane. And why continuing down the path that we're on is unsustainable. Somebody has to go in there, shake things up, gut the beast that is the federal government. Something only one single presidential candidate that I've seen or heard has even spoken about doing, that being Vivek Ramaswamy. And speaking of Vivek, that brings us to our next story. The censorship industrial complex, folks, is back in full force, already pumping out new hit pieces against Elon Musk following his decision to hold a referendum vote on Twitter, or on X on Saturday, to leave it up to the people, he said, to decide if Alex Jones and InfoWars should be allowed back on the platform. Well, he held that vote, and the people spoke. Close to 2 million people voted, a clear majority. Over 70% voted yes to allow Alex back on the platform. Now, following the close of voting, Elon came back on and he wrote this: "The people have spoken, and so it shall be." He then unsuspended his account the same day, and on top of that, upon his return to the platform, a Spaces was held. If you're not familiar with what a Twitter Space is, it's a feature on X that hosts live conversations where anyone can join the space and listen to the conversation live, and even request to speak and ask a question. Well, this space was hosted by Alex Jones, Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Congressman Matt Gaetz, a combo that caused some of those uber lefties to lose their shit. And if you want to see the fallout from this, the fallout from letting an American citizen, by the way, have the right to speak. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Have the right to say what he wants within the bounds of the law, of course, because nothing that Alex says violates the law. Whether you love him or you absolutely hate him, he's an American and he has the right to speak in public. Well, take a look at the outcry by the mainstream, folks. The Daily Beast. Jones responds to X return in shameless chat with Elon Musk. Rolling Stone. Elon Musk marks race to the bottom with Alex Jones, Ramaswamy, Andrew Tate. They really can't believe that he actually did it. Can't believe that Elon did it. Remember, the establishment wants Twitter to fall in line. They've been threatening Elon behind the scenes with ad boycotts. It's why he came out last year when he first bought the company, November 20th, 2022, and he said Alex will remain banned. He was trying to stay in both lanes, right? Stay in the free speech lane, but also follow the establishment playbook. Well, fast forward 1 year, November 29th, 2023, Bob Iger of Disney says that they're pulling their advertising budget from X, which Elon responded with his middle finger, and 10 days later, what happens? He restores Alex Jones' account. Look, he's all in now, folks. If he wasn't clear when he told advertisers last week that they won't be able to control the narrative on X, let this be a wake-up call to them. At this point, he really doesn't give a shit. So we'll see how things turn out, but this isn't the end of the story, folks. The establishment wants Twitter offline, or at least they want Elon to fall in line. All of this, by the way, happening with the backdrop of the 2024 election coming up. All right, that wraps up today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, got something out of it, press the like button. If you didn't, that's all right too. Either way, I appreciate you watching.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Disseminate propaganda to influence people's minds, and this is a major function of the CIA.
Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.